Recording in progress.
That doesn't sound good. All right. I am going to stand for this one. Good afternoon. It's going to recenter. There we go. Hello. How are we doing? I want to thank you guys and welcome to February 2nd, 2026 question and answer. Super proud of the strides that we're making as a business, as a ministry, and what we're doing. Just give you guys a quick update. We're working with a pretty important team. We just got off a big meeting this afternoon on developing out systems to help people to understand what we do a lot easier, a lot quicker. Starting with asset protection, starting with personal jurisdiction, safety, and then the IRS, and then status and jurisdiction with state citizenship. And then we're also working with new tools and new systems. And guys, man, we're growing leaps and bounds. Just keep us in your prayers. We don't want to be too big that we can't handle it, but the automation is almost complete to where we can do, you know, use all of these training videos and kind of create a cohesive way for you guys to be able to get quick information, quick data, and on an automatic basis. I'm going to ask for your forgiveness. I have had a headache today. I never get headaches. I went to the chiropractor and immediately released. There's like this stress and tension at the high end of my neck and I can't get rid of it. So I'm gonna try to do this quick today and get off, so I don't uh, cause myself more pain. I just got to relax and calm my neck down for whatever reason. I'm real tense right now, and it feels almost like there's an attack happening. Like I don't know if it's spiritual or because I never have headaches. I never have high tension, high neck issues um, like this. Anyway, I am so looking forward to this year. And I am gonna be changing up a lot of information and how we do it in the next weeks and months to come. I've been talking about doing price changes for people that are in a position where they're going to need way more, which is the average person that has money. They need multiple structures, trusts, foundations. They need deeds. They need all kinds of things, help with their business, help with their and they want it now and they want it fast. And so we're going to be changing our pricing structure for those types of individuals and people that are in the medium to high end housing range. They are going to have a slight increase. People that are not going to be able to afford this, quite honestly, um, in almost every case where I donated our services to people, where we made available the full living in the private program to somebody for free. I've only had maybe a few people actually complete it. It's strange, and I don't know why, other than the perception of value isn't there when they get it for free. So we're trying to figure out a way to um, make it available to the masses when they have a need, where they can go into a system and go at their own pace and get documents and different things like that, and they don't need to worry about it not coming directly from the ministry and or something being wrong with the doc. So again, welcome. If you guys have any questions, post them to the Q&A. I'm going to try to do this one quick, so I'm not going to be doing a lot of personal um dialogue today because again, I have a headache and I'm trying to get through my day as quickly as possible with you guys, and staring at this light in my face isn't doing me that much. So if you guys can keep me in your prayer for the next hour, that'd be very helpful. And if you do pray, I'm serious right now. Pray for me because I kind of feel like there's like a beam on me or something that's just causing a stress or whatever. Anyway, first question. What terminology is best to use when pursuing grants for the SSM? You will not be able to get a grant for your SSM um, because it is unregistered and private, and grants are only prepaid to public entities like a 501(c)(3). Not you. And if I were you, I would go type 508(c)(1) grant, and you can pursue that. Careful of the jurisdictional issues that are implied by grants because grants often come with contracts that we don't like. Just keep that in mind. I'm going to, again, if we are live right now on both ends on the YouTube end, and so if you have any questions, post them in. Um, and remember, I'm trying to get off this as quickly as possible. Again, Dave, I didn't get any questions from you. Normally I do, but I didn't get any questions that I saw come in, so I don't have anything to address there. But um, I do want to share. We are having tremendous amount of success with new memberships, changing out the style to which we are doing our customer support. Um, I'm going to ask that you guys understand something that we are bringing close to 1,000 people through the program at once right now, and this is why that we had a style of the way that we were conducting the back end fulfillment and support. This is why, contractually speaking, once you become a member of the Living in the Private, you maintain your VIP membership, and we are able to fulfill everything through a back end ticket system. And it's uh, only in a case of an emergency where we're making phone calls to an individual that would need some support or help through an emergency. But we also did these Mondays Q&As in the event that you wanted a question directly answered by me. I'd be here for that question. I'd answer directly. And again, we've answered probably over 3,000 plus questions over the last 5, 6 years, whatever it's been since we started this Q&A. What I've instructed my back office to do, and I'm going to ask that you guys work on this at a scale that is only if you need. But we are very much incentivizing our back office to call people that need customer support. Now, please understand we have a full rack of people that we are helping, but we are trying to scale up and trying to help people on the phone. So if there's really something you don't understand, request a phone call from our back office and we'll do our best to get you one as fast as possible, knowing fully that we're busy and it's a change of operations and how we've done structure for 15 years. But we're trying to be available for people and we're trying to do a better customer support for people. And it's not really something people understand. You get 10, 15, whatever calls from his advocates trying to get you enrolled, and then you get enrolled, and then we have a system where there's no phone calls. I get it's kind of weird, but the reality is, um, I- what you get for the prices that we are giving are really good. And when we are creating private structures for you, education responses, support, 30 plus documents, and then explaining those documents to you, it's not always easy to do group support. So we're going to be scaling customer support for different levels for people, and depending on what level that they're in is going to be the level to which we support on an ongoing basis. So there are people out there that ask for me to come and help them, and we've actually done that on a couple of people at this time, and we're going to start scaling that up because there are people that just want to get this done and try to push it through as fast as they can. They'll fly out. They want our phone time, whatever, and we'll make that available to them, obviously at a fee, but we'll make it available so they can get done fast and get pushed through, so that they're doing it. David Reader, what is the purpose, practicality of the fee schedule? So it's not just a fee schedule, but you can even ask artificial intelligence. There's a private side administrative process that happens with a fee schedule. And what you're basically stating is on and for a public record and putting it out into the public, um, coupled with a private side remedy showing that there is a new contract being put into place, which is why we're creating a court of record and then we put it in the public with the fee schedule. So a fee schedule really means nothing until you've served the entity that's imposing themselves upon you. Upon that service of a public recorded or recordation document, or it's publicly recorded, um, you've now basically invoiced and for your time. And so if somebody were to say, and this is where a lot of people kind of misunderstand what a fee schedule is. It's nothing more than a private side invoice to another company. And if another company is electing to use your services, you now have a remedy whereby you can bring them into a court and show that you said charge for services and these services were in fact rendered, which is any number of things on a fee schedule. I'm going to tell you right now, the fee schedule is going to be most successful on the vaccine element and on the biometrics element because we're going to help you guys in the future to register your biometrics and register the things that are yours privately, not publicly, not into a system, if you will. And then where you're going to be adding those onto a fee schedule because that is what is being used against the people is they're taking their personal property, their biometrics, by the use of your phone, by the use of many different things, airports, those types of things too. Take your rights away from you, whether or not you know it, but you want to make sure that you're in a system to where you've protected your personal property, and that's really what a fee schedule is about. Because then you have proper remedy in any court of law where you can have a an action brought against an entity that obscures or goes after or tramples on your rights. Next one, thoughts on XRP over the last month as well as silver manipulation. Well, Dr. Hep, I got a lot of thoughts. I think silver, it's been manipulated forever. I think it's more valuable from a standpoint of use case than gold. I think gold's very valuable too, use case wise. But I see silver as, and how I look at silver is what are the miners requesting contractually for the amount that they're per ounce mining. And right now, the miners are requesting $230 for an ounce of silver. And then, really, when you look at silver, I know people are talking, oh my God, the price of silver and the price of gold fell. And I'm like laughing, like, shut up, guys. The price of silver um, is just absolutely skyrocketing right now. It's $81.68. It's up 151% for the last year. So if you'd have invested, 20 grand in silver, you're talking returns that are amazing. And yeah, silver got up to astronomical terms last week, and I think it was at one point $120 or close to that. I see 15. Anyway, so it's pretty interesting to me to hear people say, "Oh man, it's dropped," and it's the same thing with XRP. People are looking at XRP and it's at a dollar 60 something today. Let me look. Dollar 62. They're doing whatever they can to flush out. I see XRP, gold, and silver as the most important commodities on the face of the earth. And yeah, XRP is a commodity and it's a product with a use case. And I think it was developed for the banks, for the bankers. The bigger question is, are you seeing what they're saying about the Epstein coin being Bitcoin? Um, I want you to know that stuff is coming out now that could really dramatically affect the cost of Bitcoin. And I've been talking to people about steering away from Bitcoin for a long time. I'm going to keep suggesting it. Don't get too close to Bitcoin. Um, I think it can go up in value. There's no doubt. But comparatively to XRP, I see XRP running out on every system, and I see the absolute need for XRP more than any other um, crypto and or ability to complete what they're doing from a use case standpoint across the world with these digital currencies. XRP is dead center on all of that. So I'm really looking forward to what XRP is going to do. I look at the dip right now as a buy time, buy opportunity. I would say buy, buy, buy. I'd say the same for silver. Buy the dip. Buy the dip. You're down right now in silver. Silver's going to skyrocket. It's going to continue to go. Guys, uh, if you've been a His Advocates member for um, any length of time, I've been touting gold and silver for a long time and XRP, probably longer than the majority of the guys out there. When I first looked at, I've been saving gold and silver for 25, almost 30 years. When I first looked at Bitcoin, I made a mistake and I thought real currency was the only way to go. And so I kept investing in silver. And I also, for the first time, invested in a fiat currency called dinar. And I've since cashed it in because I don't believe in it anymore based on many things. But XRP, when it came about, And late early 2018, I think it was, I just locked myself in a room for 3 days and did a lot of study, and I said, "Holy cow! And this is the world's reserve currency platform. I have no doubt about it." And based on everything I've learned about the structure, the beginnings, if you go look at who originally worked for Homeland Security, if you look at all the ties to the people that are working for Ripple, if you look at all the contracts that are at play, if you look at the fact that Ripple is a bank now, and I can go on and on and on. They are poised to move money on every platform, every exchange, every stock trade. Everything will be settled using XRP. And I'm not saying that lightly. I'm so still gung ho for XRP. It's a total dip right now. Um, and go for it. Next question. What would you suggest I use for your first crypto wallet? Um, I'd say go to walletscrutiny.com. Make sure you find a wallet that you like that is a 10 out of 10. I do know Trezor Model 7 is something that I am using. There are things that I do not like about it, like you can't make your own keywords. That's a problem for me, but I'm still there's an Pal. I'm not sure which one. That is I believe a 10 out of 10 on wallet scrutiny to where you can make your own words. And those are important things to consider for yourself, especially in private banking and truly crypto on a cold storage device like a Trezor Model 7 or Pal, where you've created your own keywords, where you have that safety and security of being the bank. You are a bank. That's the future. It's coming very quickly. I went to the bank and they asked me if I was a nonprofit. I said, yes, that's a mistake. If you use our foundation, you're not a nonprofit. You are tax exempt. They told me I needed to get a certificate from the state's attorney saying I registered and have been approved with a certificate, which is obviously I don't have. I am going to B of A. I will show them your account and just say I am an SSM and not mention tax exempt. Okay. So Jesus is King, which I love your name. Um, what I would say to you is tell them you want to open up a business account for a private membership association and don't say anything about tax exempt. Don't, that's all you got to say. Because in B of A's drop down, I did a lot in 4 hours when I first opened that account 15 years ago for his advocates. You can use our account number, and it's the proper structure and way to open up an account. It really is moot. If it's falling under an unincorporated PMA, it's going to fall under a 501. Now, PMA does not mean you're, even though they do not have to pay taxes, even though a private trust doesn't have to pay taxes, it doesn't matter how you have your bank account registered. The purpose of a bank account, if you say you're a nonprofit and get approved as a nonprofit, there's going to be issues with moving crypto in and out, large deposits, different things like that. So you want to make sure it's a business account because the style of the account doesn't matter. Even if you get a 1099 from your bank, the style of the account or the 1099 isn't something that's a taxable thing for you. You're still tax exempt. You do not need to file a return on that. So you want to just set up the account as a PMA, private membership association. A church is considered a PMA. Oh. It's a private association. It's the only distinction in their system that really is like us. And so we're not trying to deceive, to lie, to anything. It's just you're a for-profit private foundation, tax exempt. And that's just something people don't understand. They look at nonprofit and tax exempt as the same qualifier, and they're not. Um, by the way, there's a private foundation on the IRS website that is not the same as our private foundation. The private foundation on the IRS website is a 501c3 designated class private foundation, more for like a family. Um, so for you and your ability to get that account open, if you need help, we have people we can refer you to that'll open the account right up at Wells Fargo. They're out here in California and they will take another state identification to get that accomplished. Thank you. I received a U.S. Census Bureau American Community Survey in the mail today. They say my response is required by U.S. law. Ooh, scary. Um, is this an adhesion contract, and what are the possible consequences if I don't respond? Let me get a door knock. That's it. There's nothing against the law for a state citizen in this particular case. This does not apply to a state citizen to which you are. This only applies to U.S. citizens, period. I know they want to throw in the Constitution. Well, if that's the case, then do it on behalf and for the United States of America and not for the United States Corp. That applies only to U.S. citizens to which you, Gary, are not. What docs from our foundation do we give a phone company and Amazon to be tax exempt? You don't give them your docs. A lot of times people like Amazon, they want to see um, a set of docs. Normally, only a bank would require to do that. If it were me, what I would do is if you're a VIP member with his advocates, we have a template letter that you can give them and force the play of tax exempt with them. Um, and it works. It's harder to do in some states, but it's pretty easy to get done across all 50 states. California is the hardest. But tax exempt, you're tax exempt. They can't say it doesn't matter for state tax. It doesn't matter for capital gains. It doesn't matter for property tax. It does. It's tax exempt. If it's tax exempt at the federal, it's tax exempt at the state. The question is, do they know it and how do you get it done? So we do offer a template letter that you can utilize on our website. If you have any questions and you're a VIP member and you want to get support in that area, just request a copy of a doc like that. We'll get something to you. Hey, this is a personal question for you. Have you heard of Texit Coin? And I'm assuming you have. I think, man, with all your contacts, you do great and you have thought about it. What do you think? I haven't. I'm sorry. Um, I don't really study a lot of new coins. I got a couple bros trying to get me in coins. They've already made a lot of money. I'm game into riding the wave of what the world order is trying to put together. 'Cause I know for a brief period of time, it's going to really go up, and I want to ride that wave. I think the more people understand the level to which XRP they think is centralized and a part of the one world structure, I really want people to understand there is an element of decentralization with XRP that people have never really thought about. So I'm hedging on what works and what's good and what's a great use case more than anything. I've never heard of that particular coin. So all the coins for the most part that I'm invested in have use cases. I maybe have a couple $100 from Bitcoin. That's just because some pixie dust turned into a couple $100. You know what I'm saying? Like a long time ago holding it. I would love to be able to just get rid of all coins that don't have a use case and just put it into something with a use case. So send me some information to Kelby at hisadvocates.org if you think it's going to be a great pump, and let me know. Would creating a registration form to document assets being registered to the foundation be beneficial in terms of proof of ownership in the event that there was a court claim of ownership by the state? Heck yeah. If you can show a donation or a contribution of assets that you're worried about due to a court case or being sued, if you can show that you have donated those assets with a prior date to whatever your hiccup is or whatever your issue is, so they don't see it as, even though they, if you did donate it to the foundation, there's really not a lot they can do about it. They would try to force you to get that information back or that those assets back, potentially by means of holding you in contempt. But if you were to get them out before the damage is done in court, or the suit is done in court, or the suit being actually made, and you got something with a clear contribution receipt, even dual witnessed would be better. You have a line item to show, even though you may be holding something, there's no assets that can be taken from the foundation. There's no force play either. The only thing they can do is come after you if they know about the assets and hold you in contempt under a color of law, being the fact that you're a trustee in their mind of the foundation. I understand the foundation isn't a trust, but I'm just speaking trust law because this is what a judge would be looking at you for as the liability or the executive director equivalent, and ability to manage. And that's really what happens to people. It's never the foundation. This is why you want to get your assets protected now before a case, before a suit, before a lien, before a judgment, and get them into a control of another system. The next thing you could do, I mean, just get them out of your house and put them with somebody that you trust, to cover and protect your assets, after you donate them to a foundation, because then they're not in your possession and nobody can do any form of recovery work on those. So just get them out of your name. Yeah, it does work. Do you believe that there may be any benefits for the foundation to annually notarize a list of its assets? No, unless you're spending the assets. But if you're not spending, it's really not a big deal. The bigger you are as a foundation, obviously consider you're going to have to do some internal accounting, especially for the kids, just so they have, when you're passing it on generationally, you're going to want the kids to know what is where. And so that might be a benefit. If it's a house and a car and some jewelry that's in a safe, then you're just pointing them to that. But if it's a real estate with a lot of assets, you want to make an accounting. How much do they charge Wells Fargo for bank account opening service? Nothing really to open it. They need $25 to open it, but that's not a fee. They do charge a monthly if you don't keep a certain minimum, and there is a way around that too by keeping a minimum or using a card. And I don't really know how to explain it. Just if you're interested, ask our back office for a name and number, and we'll get it to you. Peace and love. Thank you for your time and knowledge. What are the differences between a state citizen and claiming nationality? Morse. What are the advantages and disadvantages of both? That's a very long answer, Matthew. I will say this, you have no status or standing, even with a treaty being the first treaty as a Moor in this nation. None. No standing whatsoever. A state citizen is what our nation was founded on. It's what all of our founders were, and there is a ton of Supreme Court rulings to support the protection of a state citizen. Not only that, in my book, I very much have outlined your protections under the law, and I've showed you that you can be a state citizen and not a U.S. citizen. And I showed you that you are tax exempt as a state citizen, and it's all right here in the book. Um, there's no defense as a Moor. I've never seen Moors have success on the side of the road. I've never seen Moors in court have success. I've seen a lot of different advertisements on that, but I have seen state citizens completely left alone. It's the precursors. Screw the post stuff. I know there's a lot of people with post issues, post court hearings, post this. It's the structure and setup towards your freedom that gives you the longevity of freedom. So success is determined by no door knocks. Success is determined by no charge instruments. Success is determined by no IRS audits. That's success. And that's something we've had 15 years of success. And so just know that you can't find Supreme Court rulings, in my opinion, at this point. You can find treaty law, but it's old. And unfortunately, it's not really being honored like it should. And prove that you're more. I can prove that I'm a state citizen by allegiance. The Supreme Court says it's all allegiance. Does it say that about Moors? Do you have a direct descent to prove that you're a Moor? There's a lot of things to consider in utilizing that treaty to protect a class. And I know people think that because of the color of their skin, they have this elective opportunity to become something. And you have to show that you're a succession of a direct descendant of a Moor. And that's different. And then you would still have to deal with the contracts that you currently have. You would have to come out. So if you really wanted to be the more, you'd have to deal with all the things that you said, hey, I'm a US citizen, the drivers, the social, the IRS, all those things need to be dealt with. And they need to be dealt with either way. So if you're a US citizen or you're a more, you got to show the chain of custody that truly gives you the opportunity to be a more and claim that, number one. Number two, you still need to come out. Otherwise, they've got you. Okay. Because you came into their country and you've formed a new agreement, which removes your status or rights as a Moor, which a lot of people are not thinking when they're going into court. If we're gaining back our dominion over our name through the LPP, not gaining back dominion over the name, you're gaining back your rights as a state citizen under God. You can do some work to gain sovereignty over the name that they have control over by your birth certificate. That's different than the LPP. Have you looked at how easy or difficult it may be to rename ourselves? And how do you think about how that may play out for his advocates members who've gone through the LPP process? If you rename yourself, let me ask you, for what purpose? Because all you're doing is adding an addendum to your birth certificate. That's it. If you're doing it legally. If you're renaming yourself privately, you're not going to get identification. The passport agency will not give you identification. So it's not about renaming, although the element of owning the rights to your name is important. And so making a stake or claim or trademark over the name is important. It's very powerful. I've seen that work in a lot of cases whereby a charge instrument was given to name and they came in and billed the DA for using the trademarked name, and it works. So effectively, the contribution receipt would act as final registration document, adding the foundation registration number for its assets and documenting that it wouldn't be an additional layer of Kevlar, correct? I don't know what you mean by registration. If you're donating something to the foundation, it's a final thing when you have a donation receipt from the foundation and you can show that you've donated it, especially prior to an event taking place, if you're worried about assets or protecting assets. So maybe ask that question. I'm really trying not understanding it. Next question, Gary, I have contributed my house to our foundation, recorded a new deed showing the change of ownership with the county. How can I find videos on your website? Preparing to talk about the county, about the foundation, not having to pay property taxes. Just go tell them you're a private church and you want to know the document requirement to remove the property from the county recorder or to have the property become tax exempt. And they give you a document, and the document tries to pull you into their jurisdiction, tries to prove that you are, in fact, a church. And none of those things are requirements for being tax exempt. So the filling out of that document would turn into a demand where you would not agree to the terms that they're trying to give you on the document, but you're just trying to do a demand notice, which would turn into potentially a real notice and a formal complaint and or case where you sue them. And I've seen people win it pretty much every level. I've seen them also lose, but for the most part, when they go to a hearing, they can win. Um, and there are things that, and Gary, just give it a couple months if I were you, because we're working on things to where you will have paperwork to submit to the county to show the county the Supreme Court is on your side to not only to be private, unincorporated, unregistered as a landowner, but tax exempt as well. Those are all Supreme Court rulings, by the way, that are available if you were to go and look them up. And you can utilize AI, but make sure you check the AI results because AI will and can lie to you. Did you have a chance to take a look at the affidavit of 2025 done clone act template? Yes, I did. I love it. I have not responded to it yet. I still need to study it a little bit more, but I like the element of it for sure. Next question, not a serious question, but speaking of color of skin, last Q&A you mentioned that ICE violations would pay a lot if they violated rights of persons of color. I don't remember saying it that way, but okay. Do you think white people would get a lot less in court? LOL. For sure. Just saying. But then again, white people don't get hassled as much, right? Is trademarking our name something included in the LPP? No, it's not included because it's not necessary to be free. Or is it something additional we would have to do separately? We don't really have a service for that. Not to say that we don't want to, but it's something you can really do yourself pretty inexpensively. So just look into trademarking a name. I do know if you're a VIP member, John, I can maybe give you a sample. I'd have to look it up, but what other people have done to trademark their name, I can just give you copies of docs. I don't have any issue with that. I was just thinking about dual registration of a car vehicle signed with non-assumpts that the system would automatically assume ownership of the vehicle because the registration until the signature is brought forward as non-assumptive, but they would use registration as proof of ownership. So I suppose registration is the same word effect for the state when being used as contributions are for the foundation. That's deep, man. You would have to break that one down. I understand kind of where you're going with that, but um yeah, the purpose of doing the non-assumpsit when you're giving any item to a state is just so that you can show no contract. If they were to use that against you in a future date, that's the only reason for it. Um, when you're registering a car MSO to a state, you're truly giving up title no matter what. Even if you were to do non-assumptive, you're handing the bearer instrument over to the state. They're taking that and putting it into public and going to use it for their own benefit and then give you a certificate of title. So the element of having non-assumptive under there isn't really helping you to truly own the vehicle. But again, guys, I think everybody's making a pretense of ownership in this world, and they're not thinking about things as clearly as they could be. When we die and you're faced with an eternity, the last thing you're going to be thinking about is what did I bring with me? You know. So that element of ownership, when you have a true perspective of relationship with God, becomes different. Like I'm constantly trying to figure out ways to give it all to God right now. Everything, every asset, everything. I don't want to own it, and I don't want to be responsible for it. And when I have it, I treat it differently than I would if it were just like mine. You know what I mean? Um, so I'm very careful with what I give to God and how do I handle that and being the fiduciary, the trustee, if you will, of that asset. But if I didn't answer your question, ask it again in a different format. My apologies. I don't mean to pretend like I don't. I'm not pretending, but I don't mean to make a pretense that I don't know what you're asking. I just don't really have clarity on it. If we complete the living in the private program and are not liable for taxes to the IRS, can we use an LLC single member disregarded entity owned by me for business since I am not liable for taxes? You could, but I wouldn't. And don't file. What's the risk since the LLC is a pass-through entity with no filing requirements? The only reason why the LLC would be a pass-through entity, disregarded entity, would be not because of foundation. There, I get it. You're utilizing the Supreme Court, you're utilizing case laws as a state citizen, being a non-taxpayer. However, the foundation specifically has a tax exemption under the IRS code. And that tax exemption, if promoted through the 508 as primary member, that element of disregarded entity kicks in for the LLC. So, do what you're going to do. Let me know how the results are. If it were me, I'd be for sure the foundation versus me or my name, unless I trademarked the name and I did a couple of other things. But I just, the buffer for me on that foundation and for you is so big. It's for sure never an income. You got to understand something. Let's look at it this way. And forgive me for playing this out. You can't bring a foundation into a criminal indictment. Okay. But there are people out there that could try to figure out a way to get you under a criminal indictment. Even if you went through the LPP, they would have to show a three contract rule and they'd have to, and that would be very difficult if you've done your job on the LPP, which is why we do the LPP, is we reverse engineered warrants and indictments and we created the LPP. The goal is to not commit crimes and get away with them. The goal is to be free. Okay. So just public knowledge on that for the rest of the people listening. But in that process of removing the elements of jurisdiction on warrants and indictments, we just don't want you to screw up or want some forward or some crazy prosecutor thinking they can just make crap up as they go and prove subject matter jurisdiction and bring you into a case. Why would you want to put yourself out there if you can create an easy layer of Kevlar between you and the state with the name of a foundation showing as the primary member for the LLC? You know what I mean? I'm just putting that out there. Well, the claim of ownership by the state only can be topped by the ownership of the foundation because Jesus owns the foundation. So the two claims on each side have to be settled effectively for ownership. So rebutting the state's claim of ownership is one, then proving the second claim of the foundation is two. I'm confused, John. I'm not confused about what you said, but the application of what you're trying to do with that. I was told that paying for LPP is a tax deduction. It can be. We can give you a donation receipt or a contribution receipt for the cost of the LPP, and you can deduct it on your taxes. Since we are starting the LPP process and having to file a 2025 return, will we be receiving a given statement from his advocates only if you request one on your ticket? Excellent. Um, Anybody tired of this brutally cold weather? You know what, bro? I stepped outside today. I could not believe it. It was 69 degrees. I actually had to put a light jacket on. Brutal. Brutal. Telling you. Yeah, I know. I'm being a jerk. I'm sorry. If I change the title of my car to the foundation, do I still need a notarized contribution letter? Only if you're trying to get a deduction on one side of a tax return. But no, once the title's been transferred, the title's been transferred. That's all you really need to worry about. Next question, and then I'm going to probably try to call it a day because I got a slight headache for the people that weren't here or available. At the beginning, I told people about my headache, and um, I'm not feeling that good right now. But actually, standing up has made me feel a little bit better. So let's see how long I can last. Just give me some time. I like the thought of self-naming as essentially the highest form level of dominion over one's name. It's a good thought. Of any person can have exempting the future name we have given to us by God, i.e. glorification. Um, so just to tell you, John, I've had people have success with getting a name that they did not have on their birth certificate onto a new passport. Don't ask me how. I won't paper trail that one for you, and I don't remember who, but it's happened a couple times, and it blew me away. I think my mom was one of them. Like her name is different on her birth certificate than it is on her driver's license, than it is on her passport. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird, but You may have the ability to do some form of affidavit to get it onto a permanent identification with a passport. I just don't have the time to entertain that at this moment. Who should I speak to about setting up another foundation and start my daughter, 22-year-old, in the LPP? George, send me a text and I'll set up a meeting for you. Um, you should have my phone. My direct line is 714-630-3655. Thank you, Francine. Again, 714-630-3655. Send me a text. We'll set up a time to where we can talk about that. Self-naming, then additional steps of trademarking after denim. Yeah. Matthew, take some magnesium with water for your headache. Right now, baby. Right now. Ah, one hit the floor. Un momento, por favor. All right. Yeah, yeah. I don't know what it's. There's some stress going on, but there's always stress. I've been sleeping on a couch. I'm not in trouble with my wife. I've been sleeping with my wife who has to be in a certain position. She had some stomach surgery, and so I'm trying to help her. And I'm sleeping next to her, and it's been about a month now. And you know what? Actually, I'm sleeping better. But last night I woke up a little weird, and my neck has been kind of jacked and da 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 da. But I do believe in the solar flares and all that stuff. That's going on. Anyway, thank you, Matthew. I keep forgetting about the power of magnesium. All right, guys, listen. I'm gonna cool it on the questions. Save them till next Monday. Um, there's a. I'm gonna ask for your help. I'm gonna ask that um anybody that you know that is interested in what we do, please just start them off with a simple get a book for them, read a case law to them, pull a case out of our book and send it to them in a text and say, let me know what your thoughts are. It all started for me with hearing something about the United States being a corporation and not necessarily a country. And then I got intrigued by finding out the country still existed. And then I got even more intrigued when I found out the United States Corp was limited jurisdiction to the District of Columbia and to territory granted to it by states. And it was a succession process of learning. And all these steps of learning, have been in a course of, 20 years of my life. So I'm just asking you to help somebody start learning and guide them towards his advocates. Refer to your friends to go and register at his advocates for free. And we're starting to create a system that'll trickle market to them, not offend them, and get them hopefully to a point where they too are free. It's the most important decision people can make in their life, especially in coming out. And if you did not see my service on Sunday, the prayer call that I did, go and watch it. I would love your opinion. I'm not absolute on how I feel about something, but you can go and I gave scriptural verses showing something to the contrary of the belief system of a pre-rapture. The churches are teaching pre-rapture, pre-tribulation rapture, that you're not going to be here and have to go through anything. And there's a lot of causes and problems with that. Number one, scripturally, it can be supported. Mid-trib could also be supported. Post-trib can also be supported. So I want you to really listen to what I say and just prepare because I don't want Christians to not get ready because they think they're not going to be a party to it. They all think they're out on Revelations 5 and they don't think Revelations 18 matters. And I promise you it does. So just know that we love you guys here at His Advocates. We appreciate you pushing. Make sure you go and you register. You download our app, His Advocates TV. Go download it right now. We're going to get that all updated in the next week. We're bringing people on to help us keep it updated. We're also changing out all of our thumbnails, all of our descriptions, all of our keywords across all platforms. It's going to take us a couple months, but we have teams in place that are really going to help us grow this ministry. And we appreciate you guys. We thank you for all the time that you spend in looking this stuff up. But just get the name His Advocates, like, subscribe to this video on YouTube, forward this video to a few friends, and dare them to watch it, because this book is a pretty inexpensive book to have in your hand, and know that what you believe in about your founders is truth, that they weren't U.S. citizens, and knowing that nobody is really governing the state citizens, which means you are self-governed under God, and man's law today protects that. This is a great starter point. And again, if people want to get a bunch of copies of these, we're doing 50 books for $150 delivered. 50 books, $150 delivered. There's no money into that for us, but there are people out there with uh, a huge group of people that are looking into private side stuff, asset protection. Your asset protection falls into you being private first. Put the oxygen mask on for you first. Then worry about the house. Then worry about the cars. Then worry about the other things. We can show you how to protect everything that you have, your gold, your silver, your crypto. We can show you how to put it into private entities that are 100% tax exempt. We have, without fail, helped tens of thousands of people to become private. And asset protection through His Advocates is like asset protection on steroids. So please join us in this movement of getting people out and this information out. If you want to become an affiliate, we pay 5% to people that have filled out an agreement and sent it in. We do have a couple of affiliates that we are on this, and they are going to be recognized with checks and different things. Payments, we have to figure out how we're paying them and what direction, but this is exciting times. A lot of things are changing. Just keep referring us people. We will definitely take care of them. We will honor them. We appreciate your referrals, and we'll pay you for the referral. God bless you guys. Thank you for joining His Advocates in this movement for everybody for freedom. And I hope you guys have a great week. We'll see you next Monday, 4 p.m. Pacific. Enjoy.